Hey, so the Master Summit for APIs is coming up in April in Stockholm. And I want to give you a quick preview of some of the things we'll be going deep on, specifically modifying objects. So anytime I've built a custom solution for a client on top of the Qlik engine, there's almost always been a request for functionality of changing on the fly the charts that are being shown. When I mean changing on the fly, I mean usually the measures, the dimensions, the sorting. So if you show them a chart of sales plotted by month, they're inevitably going to say, well, can we toggle that to also show quarter or year based on user input? Or can we change the measure from sales to margin? Or change the sort, or change all these other different properties? So being able to create dynamic objects in your UI that connect with Qlik is very important to building successful solutions, data analytics solutions for your clients and your customers. So I'm going to show a little bit of how to do that today. We're going to go deep at the summit on different strategies for doing that. And one of the best ones is applying patches, which is going to be a very performant way to manipulate the definitions of your generic objects. But they can be a real pain in the butt to work with if you're not really architecting it properly. So I'm going to show you real quickly here some magic that we'll be going deeper on at the summit on how you can really easily add this dynamic behavior to your front-end applications without a lot of headache. So with that, let's jump into the code here. I've got a simple React app I've put together that's hooked into a Qlik engine. And I have a Qlik data component. What that data component is doing is it's going to take this like object definition as a starting point, which just has an expression on it that's equal to 1, a string expression. And it's going to render that into the browser. So we have expression value. It's going to calculate what that value is. So equals 1 is going to be 1 through the engine. And it's also going to put out the object properties for us that the engine has, so we can see what the current properties are. So this is great. This fits our need of putting some data through the engine and then visualizing the results of it. But now let's make it dynamic. And so what I've done here actually is I've written a function called useProperties that will not only give me back the properties you see here that we're rendering, but also has a function called patchProperties for me. This is a pretty cool function because what patchProperties will do is take another function that you can use to modify the properties, and it'll figure out from that result of that function what patches it needs to be applying to the server and just handle that for you. So you don't even have to think about writing the patches. If you know how to manipulate JavaScript data, like push values to an array, change a string, whatever it might be, this can handle that for you. So what we'll do as an example, let's go ahead and update our expression. So we'll create a function for updating our expression called updateExpression, and it'll take some new value and it'll call patchProperties. What patchProperties takes is a callback function that has our existing properties and then says, hey, make any modifications you want directly to this object. And we'll handle it all immutably for you. You don't even have to think about that. So in this case, it's pretty easy. All I have to do is say, okay, I'll take my properties and the expression and QString expression and the Q expression, and I'll just set that equal to my new value. So now I have an updateExpression function, and now I just need to use it. So using it's easy enough. I'll just create an input box here for my user to type into. And we'll start with like a default value of the current expression. So we'll write the default value will be the qdef.qstring expression. Actually, that's not right. It's the expression.qstring expression.q expression. So that gives us the input box that has equals 1, but nothing really happens when I type into it. And what I want to happen is I want to update these properties and get a different value out. Well, this patchProperties makes it as simple as just kind of adding that in there. So we'll say on change, we are going to take our event and we're going to call updateExpression on the value of that event. Okay, so we have equals 1. So what happens here if I put a 0? Oh, the properties got updated immediately and now I have equals 10 or equals 100. Or I can trigger some errors in the Qlik engine by not putting any type of expression. Or put, let me count my orders. Or let me count my distinct orders, right? So it's updating on the fly. What's really cool about this is that this will work for any property you want to change here. So in this case, I've changed this kind of expression here, but I could have made this instead something like an array of values. Maybe like this has ended up being an array that has like the letter A in it. And we're going to have to do a few updates here to get this to visualize properly. And so maybe instead of replacing the value, what I want to do this time is I want to push new values. So it's as simple as updating that. So if you know how to manipulate JavaScript objects that simply, you can do this and now you have a fully dynamic object. So if I put like B in here, now I have A, B. And of course, it's a silly example. If I keep adding letters in here and deleting them, it's going to keep adding these new things I'm typing in into this array. And all I had to do was just kind of use this patch properties with a simple pushing values to an array. So with this, you're going to be able to really easily create toggles for changing properties, or drop-down menus, or even like you've seen here, allowing a user to type their own inputs and quickly modify data on the engine and get back the result. So it's pretty cool. I want to show just real quick that that is actually applying patches. If I pull up my dev console here and we look at some of the things we were doing, what you'll see is apply patch calls happening here. So I'll zoom in for you. We can see that, okay, as I was typing, it was actually saying like, okay, go and add this value to this place in the thing. So it was generating these complex patches for us, and all we had to really worry about was just like writing our intent on how to manipulate the data client side. So again, in April in Stockholm, we're going to be talking more about this and showing you more techniques to very easily perform what are otherwise can be complex interactions with the Qlik engine to make these very powerful user interfaces. So I hope to see you there.